Hey everyone, this is smpratte, and today we're going to talk about English versus Japanese. This is something I touched on a bit in the past, and I want to bring it back up because there's been a significant change not only in how product is distributed, but the reason for why it's released. I think most people understand in general, English is known for its set releases, and Japanese is known for its exclusive promos. This couldn't be any more true or any more vivid than the golden era of the hobby. Going back to the Wizards of the Coast era, sets were its cornerstone. There's no set card that holds a candle to the tail of the first edition base Charizard. That is what it's all about. And that is because it had a nice difference between first edition and unlimited. There's a difficulty to grade the cards, therefore what does that equal? A challenge. And then on the Japanese end, you had all of these exclusive cards that never were released in English. Something like Mount Fuji Pikachu, Masaki promos, fan club cards, trophy cards, you name it. Plenty of cards that have unique art, unique story, unique release that provide, again, a nice, healthy challenge. Perfect blend. And in fact, it was almost like a nice little yin-yang balance there where one side had these promos and their weakness was the sets. The sets for Japanese were pretty attainable, and because the print quality was so good, they weren't that difficult to grade. And for the English side, it was the opposite. You had the sets that were more limited, and then also they were more difficult to grade, where the promos were pretty much non-existent or negligible. So it was perfect. Best of both worlds. Now today, one of these categories has completely failed collectors. One language is accelerating like it always has, and the other one has just become basically a high school dropout. And we probably know what I'm going to say here. The Japanese side of the hobby is the only side of Pokemon right now that is catering to collectors. English has completely abandoned the concept of a collector. And we're going to walk through not only all the product differentials, we're going to walk through differences in pricing and everything so we can really get a good idea what is going on right now for the English TCG. And let's start with the good. Let's start with the positive. The positive for the English TCG right now is that they're focusing on players. And I think there's opportunity in the player base. I think the competitive player, just the play side of Pokemon in general, the player base, is still very, very spotty. It's not fully fleshed out. They didn't reel it in yet, in my opinion. I think there's still more opportunity in there that they can grasp, and they realize that, and you already see it. You already see the growth in the numbers and the participation, and that's ultimately a good thing. So that is, at the end of the day, the saving grace for English is that they're focusing on players, and it's working, knock on wood. It's working to some effect. However, from a collector perspective, when you go to Target and you see all the Pokemon on the shelves, from a general perspective, that's a good thing. You're like, yes, Pokemon's doing well. But as a collector, there really isn't anything there for you. Maybe outside the thing like the Mewtwo release that was there, or maybe like the box, even the boxy one was kind of a botched rehash of Japan. But at the end of the day, that's still something that you can pick off the shelves and be like, hey, this was fun. Some of these releases today from the English side, like the 3 booster packs of the promo, they're literally pulling out a common card from the set in lieu of the promo. I mean, it's just so lazy. If you're going to do this route of put all your eggs in one basket, which is what the English TCG has always done. They've always said, yeah, we're doing all set cards. That's our main focus. You got to keep stirring the pot. You got to make sure the sauce doesn't get sticky. You got to keep stirring it. Otherwise, it's going to go stale. And for them, they're like, hey, we don't care because the players are just eating up. We don't really care. And that's what's happening. But for collectors, there's just a massive, massive disappointment right now. And here's some product examples. Starting with something that was released in Japan initially, and then brought over to the English side. This is the Poke-Kayun set, released around Valentine's Day. You can tell there's a lot of pink, some hearts. As a guy, no hesitation in saying phenomenal set, phenomenal artwork, great concept, strong identity, nice exclusive release, contained release in Japan, affordable to this day, perfect, 10 out of 10. What you want to see for a collector. What did this look like on the English side? Oh, this was thrown into the biggest clusterfuck I've ever seen of a set, Generations, where they just took Poke-Kayun and slapped it in there, and they're like, let's throw in all this other 20th anniversary nonsense that, was nice and categorized on the Japanese end like this. This box is contained, it's a set, it has an identity. This doesn't translate in Generations. I remember people who were hyping up Generations, they're like, oh yeah, these Mythic releases are going to be something in the future. I could still get Mythic boxes at distributor pricing today. This came out at about $40 distributor pricing. It's now probably at least $140 for this box. There's nothing on the English side comparable that has jumped that much. So that's one numbers example. And from a more emotional standpoint, I think most agree that yes, this is obviously a stronger identity. And this is what it's all about. This is what English needs more of. Even if they just carbon copy this, like I think Shining Legends is a better transition than Pokekayun and Boxy. Shining Legends is a better transition, where I still think the Shining Legend box, here it is actually, Shining Legend box for Japanese is a nice, unique box. But the Shining Legends for English wasn't as bad. I mean, it's still a better transition. There's still something going on there. There's some concept. You see something for the collector. And that's probably the last of the Mohicans there. That's like one of the last sets that people really got excited about for the English side of TCG. But nonetheless, these are examples of both Japanese and English product, where today, this right here, there's a whole cavalcade of Japanese exclusive items. There's not only like Mario Pikachu or this Rocket 20th Anniversary, flawless release, flawless concept, unique art, quality, just everything about it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's perfect. And stuff like this Mario Pikachu, the whole Poncho Pikachu category is a whole new category, a whole new sector that's only available in Japan. And it's something they keep doing over and over with a nice amount of pace. They're not saturating it. They're not like, let's do all the Pokemon ever. It's nice and steady. It's nice and consistent. Perfect. Perfect. The pacing is good. The concept is good. The unique art and release is good. These were accessible for a long time. Even now, they're still very affordable. And even back when they were released, you had plenty of time to pick them up. So the bottom line is that you have an entire language that has a philosophy that the other just does not share today. Where the irony couldn't be any more thick. Where back in the day with WotC, Pokemon was always on the back burner. But even with it being on the back burner, it still had a better concept than today for collectors. There was still more focus and at least some strategy behind its release, where today it's just constantly just firing it out. I mean, we have so many people. You see that there was a thread recently on E4 about this. There's so many people who work at card shops, who own a card shop, and they'll tell you, they're like, yeah, the product that comes with a unique promo and whatever, that's going to fly off the shelves. And then the ones that they slap in a crappy jumbo and a couple packs for $40, we're going to have to fire sale that. Because again, there's no conceptual release. It's just mix and match as much as we can, okay? So the bottom line here with English, the irony, the ultimate irony, going back to the original golden era. The weakness for the Japanese side of the hobby was its sets. Because again, its sets were easily attainable. You didn't have the first edition in unlimited print. So therefore you had, I would say, a wider pool to really go after these cards. There's no differential. And on top of that, they were easier to grade. Hands down. They're printed better, so therefore that means they're easier to grade. The irony is, today we've gone full circle. Not only did English completely abandon the collector when you're talking about concept of promos and releases, the sets themselves do not have any containment or differential, and moreover, they are easy grades. Anyone who says, oh, well, so, you know, they're off-centered, whatever, no, you got to take a step back and go back to black and white. Go back to Flashfire, and it's not even a debate. And this is why it's not a debate. Here are the numbers. Mega Full Art Charizard, right here. Over 1,350 PSA 10 examples as of making this video. This is going to be the highest graded, the most graded PSA 10 Pokemon card, and it's barely a year old. That is insanity. That is complete mania. When literally the original, the unlimited Charizard, everyone's like, unlimited had so many prints. This has nowhere near as many PSA 10 examples as the Evolution Charizard. And this is like a full-blown adult, and this thing's basically learning how to walk. I mean, it's insane how much product is released, and the condition is a step up from the previous era. If you're new to the game and you think, oh, the condition's bad, saying the condition's better doesn't mean it's flawless. You know, we're not saying it's new back Japanese, okay? And even then, new back Japanese, you can have centering issues. But this is a massive upgrade from the previous pre-Evolutions era. If you go before Evolutions, black and white especially, you get into some crazy, crazy crappy prints. That's why the full art market was the way it was. That's why full art Charizard from Flashfire was such a quality card and it had such a premium, because it's not a cakewalk grade. There were people breaking boxes and boxes and boxes, and they couldn't get that 10. I remember myself grading, what was the Plasma Charizard. I probably graded, even thinking about this, make myself triggered here. I probably graded 25 to 30 of those Plasma Charizard, the secret rares. All 8 to 9s. And then I remember I graded one more on a whim, and I got my 10 finally. And the lesson to learn from that is I should have just bought the damn thing already graded, because I wasted all that time with the 8 to 9s. I'm like, God, now I got to do all this work selling it to get my money back. the bottom line is there's a massive change in print quality. It's not an emotional argument. You can look through the pop report. You can see the data. You can see how many 10s there are today. And the best example is go to your Mega Full Art Charizard from Evolutions. Look at the percentage of 10s, 9s, and 8s, and so on submitted. The majority is going to be on the 10 side. So it's literally gone full circle from what it was in the Wizard of the Coast era. Why Wizard of the Coast was such a challenge, even back in the day when these cards were coming out of the pack. As we know, for people who find a box, you know, that diamond in the rough, you find the box, it was untouched, you open it, 8 and 9. You get 8 and 9 grades. I mean, that's just the reality of Wizards of the Coast product. And maybe that was just luck. You know, they probably didn't conceptualize, oh, we're going to make this difficult to grade. But at the end of the day, that's just inherent reality that adds a layer of difficulty. It adds a challenge. And it adds, I would say, just a nice, rewarding experience. Because if it came that easy, like it does with these new sets, you lose interest. And we already see that. You know, this video is being made because of my conversations with a lot of heavy English collectors, because I kind of straddle the fence, obviously lean more on Japanese now. But for people who did primarily English, I talk to them and all I hear is the same commiseration. They're always commiserating about how frustrating it is. And they're like, man, they just don't care about collectors anymore. So that is the inherent reality. You know, for people who are like, yeah, I wish the Wizards of the Coast stuff was easier. Honestly, I'm glad it is the way it is because it provides people with a nice challenge. Where today we have that reality. You know, if you think it's too difficult for Wizards of the Coast, collect the new stuff today because it's super easy to get a good grade on. So if that is your thing, you can do that. And what we've seen, I could tell you the difference between how many people talked about sets on E4 before Evolutions, how many people talk about the new sets after Evolutions. Outside of Shining Legends, everyone's just like, yeah, we don't care. You know, and this is the serious collector category, but at the end of the day, that's a differential. And it's frustrating as a collector. I don't know what that means for market effect, but at the end of the day, it's happening. There's a lot of English people that are frustrated because, again, there's nothing to grab onto. In the past couple years, all the unique releases are just shitty last-minute rehashes from Japan. Like Generations of Pokekanyun. It's not even up for debate. It's terrible. It's just a terrible concept. And like I said, I could still, for people who are trying to hype up, oh, the Generations have whatever growth. It's like the Mew box maybe or the Celebi box or whatever. It's ultimately negligible because you can get all these Generations products still. You can still get Generations packs today at distributor pricing. So that is the bottom takeaway here, is that it's not just an emotional standpoint. It's an objective numbers situation. And I mean, for me, I like doing the English sets. Like I like doing the full arts. I like doing the hyper rares. I like just doing something that keeps me going, that keeps me excited, that keeps me engaged with both sides of the hobby. And right now it's really friggin' difficult. It's really hard to find something on the English side to get excited about as a collector. For players, great. I think they're doing everything right. Online TCG, perfect. How the cards are released with the different options, it's all for players. But for the business and the collector, they're both hand in hand like, well, damn it. We missed the pre-Evolutions days because that was easier to understand. There's more of a healthy challenge. It was more in line with what WotC used to be. It was more in line with the WotC setup, you know, going back to Black and White, Flash Fire, Plasma Storm, etc. That full art chase was a thing. I remember people getting excited about the first 10 because the first 10 wasn't the first week. Sometimes it took a month or a couple months to get that first 10 full art because it was such an actual challenge. So hopefully that gives you the perspective. I'm trying to drive home here. There's just such a fall off right now with the English side of TCG. I want it to repair in some way. But it's a great example of how putting all your eggs in one basket has a massive risk. When it's not working, the whole thing goes down. Where with this side, it's like, let's say the Poncho Pikachu disappeared for some reason, okay? You still have all these Pokemon Center exclusive releases. You still have, I haven't even touched on the tournament promos that come out in Japan, the event promos that come out in Japan. There's so many exclusive promos that come out in Japan. It doesn't mean they're all home run purchases. It's just variety. It's just options for a collector. Unique art, maybe even if it's a stamp, it's still something unique. And that is what's terribly missing today in English. So let me know your thoughts, guys. Let me know if you agree or disagree. If you're more of a Japanese person, English person, what side of the fence you're on. Like I said, I try to straddle both. And I'm just like leaning off there on the English side. I'm like, come on, English? Like just get outside the world stuff. I'll say that. The world stuff and like some of the pre-release stuff, I get excited about the pre-release a little bit. World stuff is always going to be perfect. Like the Championship Arena is flawless. Flawless. They need to do more of that as much as they can. But that's what I have, guys. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know where you stand. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Till next time.